Welcome everyone to the last day of In-Demand Jobs Week 2021. We're here with an awesome panel of folks from the IT sector. There are thousands and thousands of open jobs that are related to computer science and IT and cybersecurity, and our employers are looking to hire folks in this field. So we're really excited. I'm not going to say we saved the best for last, but I think you're all really going to enjoy this panel today. So with us, we have a awesome host from Technology First, and I'm actually going to throw it straight to her. So Caitlin, why don't you take it away and let's start the panel.
Everyone, welcome to Technology Day. We're really excited to share about careers in information technology with you. My name is Caitlin. I'm with Technology First, and I'll be moderating today's panel. So I'll be asking questions of Jeff, Dan, and JT, and we are going to go ahead and get rolling. So we'll start with Jeff. Jeff, can you tell us about your position and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Jeff Reed. I work for a manufacturing company called Midmark Corporation. I started there 20 years ago, right out of school. I actually did a summer internship or co-op there and learned a little bit about IT, and then really got hired on while I was at school and continued on. I'm currently a systems engineer, so really what that means is I'm working in the back end with like the storage, the infrastructure, the networking environment for the company. So we support 8 locations within the domestic US as well as an international site. The job can change at any day. It's anything that that users will access. It's in the back end. It's in like the data center area in that space.
Very good. Let's hear from you, Dan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Wilkins. I'm the Director of Cyber Defense at CareSource. And so my position, it's similar to Jeff, it changes every day based off what attackers are doing, but primary responsibilities are around defending our network, making sure that attackers are not able to get in. And so a lot of that is I have a great staff that works with me from a variety of backgrounds, and I've had a variety of backgrounds that we'll get into, I think, in a future question, from all over IT that kind of led me to where I am now.
Great. How about you, JT?
How's everyone doing? I'm JT Holiday with Expedient Technology Solutions. I work for an IT managed service provider. So my role in the organization is focused on growth and ensuring that we have future paths so that when new people come in, maybe right out of high school, right out of an associate's program or college, they come into an entry-level IT technical position, and I ensure that they have a path to growth in our organization. But what we do, it's a little different than some organizations. We actually support around 100 different organizations and what they need from an IT perspective. Not all companies have great individuals like Dan and Jeff that are dedicated to their organization. They need to partner with organizations like my company. And so we handle everything from their cybersecurity to setting up computers to fixing issues. So when you're playing on a Chromebook and it has a problem, we have a team that can fix that. And we're doing a lot of things just to protect the organizations. And so I'm excited to share more about all that with you, and glad to be here.
Awesome. So our next question, we're curious about a typical day in your position, which is kind of funny because Jeff and Dan both shared it's different every day. So perhaps you can share several kinds of typical days for you. Jeff, you want to go first?
Absolutely. So as I said, the job does have different aspects. Right now in my role, I'm actually doing some project management. So I'm helping with different enterprise infrastructure projects that are happening, with new technologies coming in, with the company wanting to sort of pivot on what they're doing in technology and try new things. I'm running a team that is researching those types of solutions, testing and implementing solutions, and ultimately creating value for the business. So I'm able to use my 20 years of IT experience and everything from doing desktop support and fixing PCs to the server administration and software integration in the back end to help these teams develop new solutions for our company.
Very good. How about you, Dan?
Yeah. So a lot of it depends on the day, like I had said. So, for example, some of you may have heard of the SolarWinds attack back in December through January. So when that happens, we hear about an attack group that has compromised software. It's okay. How do we respond? How do we verify whether an attack would work against us? And so there's a lot of research. So some of it's threat intelligence of who are the attack groups that care about healthcare. Why do they care about our data, and what do they normally do to try and get in, and then ensuring that our defenses are accurate. And sometimes that means attacking ourselves to verify, so trying to be like the attacker, and then verifying we can catch ourselves as well. Sometimes it's working with other areas in IT, people like Jeff that are trying to build great IT solutions and innovative things. We're trying to work with them to make sure we do it in a secure manner. So IT experience is helpful. It really just does vary by the day, but a lot of it is research and learning, trying to figure out, okay, what do the attackers want to do to us, and how can we best defend, either catching them or stopping them.
Very good. You're making me think of, either the hooded hackers that they show online, or also
Yeah.
kind of like a cybersecurity detective system going.
Yeah. I took my black hoodie off just before joining the call, of course, but ski mask is still in the car or something. Yeah.
Love it. Very good. All right, JT, what's a typical day like for you or other people in your organization?
Yeah, I think it'll be cool and beneficial to talk a little bit about our different technical departments. And so typical days, it varies on the department. Each IT group, IT department has people that have different specialties or focuses for that time. It doesn't mean that they're going to be stuck there or doing the same thing for a long time, but each department has a goal. And so some people in our organization, they're committed to setting up computers. And so we've got companies that are hiring 20 new people this year. And so they're setting up computers, and they might be touching 20 different computers in a day. These could be laptops, desktops, tablets. And they're going through and making sure they're going to be ready for a person to come and grab it and start working on it. But then you have a help desk where they're over here taking maybe 10 to 20 calls in a day, and they're getting a call from someone, and it's just someone saying, hey, I can't get into my email, I can't work because of a technical issue. And they're either remoting in and just working on a problem right there from where they're sitting, or maybe they go on site and they've actually got to get their hands on some of that hardware that's causing the problem, or that they need to investigate. But we have a SOC department, a security operations center, and those individuals are monitoring a lot of threats. So as Dan's over here looking to see how attackers are trying to get into their infrastructure, and Jeff's setting up his solution securely, we have people that are monitoring when an alert does come in that you got to verify. We have alerts that if someone logs in a different country, we get an alert and we just want to verify, like, hey, is this user supposed to be in France right now? Might be, but we just got to verify that to ensure that there's not a compromise or that there's not a potential risk. And so, in our company, a typical day is never typical. And in a company like ours, where you support 100 different companies, this computer setup's this way, this environment you're troubleshooting set up this way. Not everything's the same kind of technology or the same type of solution. There's a lot of great solutions out there, but you've got to wear a lot of hats. You've got to be able to be flexible, and you've got to be willing to just learn and expose yourself to working on challenges. But that can be very rewarding when you're able to really fix someone's problem or prevent an issue. It can be very rewarding experience where you feel like you're making a difference.
Very good. Thank you, JT. So next we're curious, what do you wish you had known about IT or wish others knew? Jeff?
Sure. I'll say, when I started in school, I was actually going to be in education when I started, and I didn't really know much about IT or the business world. I did an internship while I was just out of school and going into my freshman year of school. And I enjoyed PCs. At the time, that was a long time ago, right? So it wasn't quite as advanced as it is today. But I was able to get in and just kind of understand, what opportunities were there. I think one of the things I questioned back then was, do I need to be a developer? Do I need to really get into the coding aspect of it? Do I, which way do I go when I decide to pivot and go into the technology area? And really, I think learning about the business was probably the biggest thing. Understanding how businesses work. Every business is different, so you're not necessarily going to learn all of that. You're going to learn a lot of it hands-on, in the business, because every business is different. Every type of business, if you're a manufacturer or you're a supplier of services and whatnot. So for me, understanding and learning the business, I did get an MIS degree, so it was a Master's of Information Management Systems. But understanding the business, learning that, really getting hands-on, you can learn a lot of technical aspects of the job by doing it. And I think the thing I would say is to just continue to try to learn and adapt, and you'll go a long ways.
Thank you. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I think the learning and adapting is key. I think probably one of the biggest things is don't put yourself in a box from I have to be super technical to do this. I've had portions of my career where I was a bit nerdier than I maybe am now, although some would probably still disagree and say I'm plenty nerdy. But I've also had portions of my career where my technical acumen didn't matter in the least. So social engineering engagements. So before CareSource, I did penetration testing where companies would hire me to break in. And oftentimes technical skill mattered almost zero. It was all about being able to trick people, being able to understand how humans interact. And even beyond that, even my technical ability is pretty limited compared to a lot of people on my team. But I have others on my team that don't have a technical background in the least. I've got some that can speak in binary and they're just insanely smart in that regard. But I have other people that are just phenomenal communicators and they understand how people think and work. And that makes them so good at their job. When we're tracking attackers, it's not a computer system that it's attacking us generally. There's a human behind the keyboard that either wrote the code or that is targeting the code at us. And so understanding the human element is important. Marketing, being able to write emails that are actually like readable and engaging is such a vital skill. So we need all kinds of people in cybersecurity. If we have only the true kind of the nerds, it'll be a very small box and we will fail at security. So that would be the biggest thing, is don't let that think you like it disqualifies you if you're not super technical. You need so many different skill sets. Diversity of thought and skill set is so vital.
Definitely. Totally agree with that. How about you, JT?
Yeah, this is a great question. I was talking to several different team members in my organization. And I asked this specific question just to see the responses. And the majority of the people I asked, they said that if they were thinking about like this field back in 8th grade, 9th grade, they would say this isn't a field for just geeks or nerds. Like this is a true profession. This isn't a job where you sit behind a screen and you've got no one around you and you just get lost in doing things on your own. This is a position, a profession that you can do so many different things. And to also like, don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking you're only going to be a cybersecurity specialist or you're only going to be good at networking. Be open to challenging yourself and taking on new opportunities, and know that you've got to be able to interact with people. You're going to be able to drive around to different places. You're going to be able to move and be in a meeting, collaborating. You get to have a profession that's going to impact businesses, and that it's more than just a technical position. It's critical for businesses to be successful. For our country to be successful. Technology encompasses so much more than just a geeky nerdiness thing, and you don't have to be a wizard in math. I've seen people be professionals in this career that have no technical experience, but they just had a willingness to learn and they had a good troubleshooting mind. So if you think you might not be good at this profession, you might be kind of counting yourself out too early. And so I'd encourage you to keep an open mind to that.
Very good. Yeah, every business relies on technology. So you are totally right there. Our next question is, what do you love about your job? What makes IT technology jobs special? We kind of touched upon that a little bit, but maybe we can get some more out of you. Jeff?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the ever changing aspect of technology. I mean, in the time that I've been in IT, I've seen a lot of change, and what's fun about that is you're always learning. It's always something new. It never gets old. If it gets old, there's probably a problem there. So it's always something new, and it's been exciting to see the changes, over the years as well. I think, in my role, I also support people within the company. So being able to have someone come to you with a problem and help them, problem solve, or try to figure out an alternate solution for their problem. Those are nice victories. Sometimes you get daily wins, right? You get a nice win each day, and for me, those are the good days when we can have successful engagements with people and make some good wins for the team.
Thanks, Jeff. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, man, so much. I love cybersecurity in general because it's just fun. There's a lot of things to learn, and that's exciting because it doesn't get old, like Jeff was saying. But I mean, it is just some of the things I've been able to do legally is just a blast. Like things that would be illegal otherwise, that companies are like, hey, we'll pay you to do this. And I'm like for real? This is wonderful. So it's just a fun career in general, but specifically at CareSource, being able to be part of a team that actually cares and works towards a common goal of protecting our members is just hugely rewarding for me. And the beautiful thing about IT and security is, like you said, Caitlin, everything runs on it. Like there's not a business or not many businesses that are not running on IT. If any of you have ever been on the internet, you know that security is not getting better. It's getting harder and harder as attackers are getting more and more mature. And so, it's fun. It's long term. So it's not something that's just temporary. It's going to be around for a long time. And yeah, the learning aspect of it and being able to show up to work, not necessarily knowing entirely what I'm going to do for that day, or what new thing I'm going to need to dig into. Caitlin mentioned before, kind of, there's the hoodie side, the attacking side of security, and that's fun. But there's the detective side of it of, hey, this just happened and it's weird. So JT was mentioning, monitoring for alerts like the SOC, Security Operations Center, and they are needing to, track down a user. Hey, it looks like they are in France, but they also logged in from LA, and unless they're Superman, that's kind of difficult to figure out. And so you start like a detective, you have some clues, and you start following the trail. So from a defensive side, it's problem solving. You get to do really cool puzzles and be able to help protect organizations. And so there's just so many different things that can be enjoyable out of it. If you like to solve puzzles or if you like to work with people, it's a blast. So yeah, I think that's what makes it really special. You're doing good things and they're fun. And that doesn't happen all that often.
Definitely. Thanks, Dan. How about you, JT?
I think the special thing about IT is, as Dan and Jeff have highlighted really well, it's that it's very much needed and it's never going away. So from a stability factor, if you think about all the history classes you sat through and heard about, how they did this or they did that, technology is never going to go away. This career, this profession, it's very secure. When COVID went down, it was needed. It was critical for technology to step up or to already be in a place to handle situations like that. And so it's special that it's needed. It's special that you help people. I mean, to be able to say that someone was having a really stressful morning because something was broke and they're not able to get their job done, and you're able to go in there and fix the problem and get praised and just be like, you're awesome. You fixed it so quickly. You're so smart. You know, you get this really great rewarding feeling that you're impacting and you're making a difference. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of great professions and careers out there, you know, but like a really important thing that I would tell myself back in school is like, you want to do something that makes you feel good about yourself and that you're putting time into something that matters. And so it's just special to know that, you know, it's needed, it's not going away, you're helping people. And I would be remiss not to say you can make really good money and provide for your family. So if you're being honest, I know you all want the cool cars and definitely do that in a good, smart way and lean on some friends and mentors, but you can make a great living for yourself. And so that's, you know, obviously not a bad thing.
Very true. Very true. Thanks for sharing that, JT. Everyone always talks about how, you know, like you said, there's great pay with IT careers and, you know, lifelong learning happens. And so as you grow within the IT field, so does your position and you can move up and up and up and just a natural growth. And so that does help support, you know, a great life where you can afford a home and a nice car and vacations and support your family. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing.
I've seen too where people come into our organization and they've been able to start at a very low entry level kind of pay, if you will, but then in the course of even just a few years, tripling the amount they started making because they loved it and they like really put a lot of their career into it, like their focus. They didn't just do it when they got to work. It was a career, not a job. And the people that take it as a career, not a job, they can just skyrocket. From responsibilities to pay to impact, you know, like Jeff being able, he's probably has a president of a company that's going to ask him for like a legitimate, hey, what do you think? I mean, you just, the input you can have, it's just really rewarding.
Very true. Thanks, JT. Sounds like my dog is barking. So,
Keelan, I've got a question I could jump in with.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Great panel so far, everyone. I was going to ask something of you all. If I'm a middle schooler or a high schooler watching this right now, is there anything that you would recommend they start doing to explore more going into this field? Sometimes when we talk with healthcare providers, they're like, if you want to become a nutritionist, you should start doing this in high school or look at doing this in middle school. Any sort of equivalence you might be able to offer?
That's a great question. Yeah, so there are like security kind of gamification type of things you can do. There's security programs such as the Cyber Patriot that's, I believe, in high school, but it kind of aligns mentorship from the industry with high schoolers to be able to do like real world examples of defending a network or attacking a network. So organizations like Cyber Patriot and others like Technology First that help connect people to, you know, IT careers, IT professionals are vital. There's also, you know, if you are somebody that digs coding, for example, picking up a language like Python, which is kind of just a practical, almost a lazy sysadmins type of language that allows you to automate things. A lot of security tooling is there, and actually a lot of security training is out there for free. You can do things, you know, through YouTube and other mediums, Pluralsight and other things that run promotions where you can get training on those. And so just continuing, you know, down that technical path, that can be one area, but don't neglect the things like speech class or writing, composition, how to influence people, how to make friends. Even that's vital. You know, JT mentioned friends and mentors that help guide. And you know, I think one of our future questions would be, how do you get into your career? But you know, I stand on the shoulder of giants that helped pull me up, because it wasn't about me. I've got people that are in technology that helped pull me up, but I have people that, you know, I highly trust that are in things like corporate communications and marketing, where I've come to them and said, hey, nobody cares about this email. Why did I write it so poorly? And they're like, oh yeah, it's just like tweak these few words and magically, although it's really based off they're really good at their jobs, it sounds so much better. So have different mentors that can help guide you there, and not just the technical skills. If you can't speak or write, it'll limit your influence. Because, like, Jeff can go to a president of a company and they'll ask the question, if you can't speak to them, or if you can't compose an email that is coherent, or somebody reads a 9-page email and they're like, I don't know what the point was. What's my takeaway? You kind of missed it. So don't just focus on the technology.
So just to piggyback off that, I want to make sure if you're a student and you're watching, you're like, this is kind of interesting. What can I do? You can look at after school clubs. You can look at camps. You can, just find someone from the industry and ask if they'd be willing to, mentor you and give you career advice as you go throughout your middle school and high school career. And you can just start checking out some of these free software and some of these free trainings. I see Jeff has gone off mute. Any other advice for students that might be interested in doing things now to prepare and to explore careers in this space?
Yeah, I'd say I know the schools nowadays have, programs available that you can even work in the school and help out, assisting there. That's a great way just to kind of start learning things if you're very new to it. I would agree with asking, if you know anybody that's in the tech industry and maybe you'd like to get with them and ask them what they do. And, those in IT love to talk about IT and they love to tell you what they're doing. So I know that I've done that as well, where, go maybe job shadow someone if you get an opportunity. A lot of organizations offer that willingly to let folks come in and just kind of see what it's all about, maybe even visit a couple different departments to kind of get an idea of what they do. So be eager, take some initiative on your own to go find out what's out there, what's possible.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it looks like we have another audience question that perhaps we'll get to at the end, because Dan alluded that we were really curious on how all of you got into IT. So when you're thinking back on the 8th grade self, like Brian said, or early high school, and you're really thinking about your future, how did you end up here? Let's go with JT first this time. Switch it up.
I got here on accident, so I'll be honest. And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people, but I'm really thankful that I did get here. And so there are a lot of people in technology, and you've probably heard it from your teachers that, people get associates or degrees, and then like over half the time, they don't work in a related field to what they went to school for. But I know a lot of the people that are in our organization, whether they had a graphic design degree or whether they did programming, but now they're doing something in networking. I think you'll find that you want to find a good company and a good organization that obviously cares for the community and things like that. And so like how you get into this industry, I think like Jeff said, if you would just call companies, ask your teachers to find a company that you can go and just like sit and watch what the jobs are. I think at the end of the day, you got to find what you're passionate about. And, if you're passionate about helping people and if you're passionate about like learning new things, then you're going to find yourself probably in a position related to technology.
Thanks, JT. How about you, Dan?
Yeah. So I would say in, ninth, 8th, 9th grade, I don't know that I knew I'd be in security, because I don't know that, well, I know I didn't know that I could use it as a career. I used to love playing pranks on students, no teachers ever. But back in the day, you could do things on computers that it was super easy to hack a computer. My back in the day. So my parents wouldn't give me the password to get online because we had like dial up, right? So you weren't always connected. And so I wrote a keylogger. So every time they changed the password, catching me playing in online games or on chat rooms, they would change the password, and I got frustrated. So I wrote a keylogger. So every time they typed it in, I now knew what the password was, which is a bad idea, and I would not recommend doing that. But it was like, it was just fun, and it was cool to play pranks. And then I went into college for computer science, thinking, oh, like, I love computers, I love building computers and working on them. I love games, and thought, maybe I could design a game. Not that good of a programmer, so that went out the window pretty quickly. But I went through college for comp sci, learning how to write programs, computer science, and never worked in computer science at all. So have never written a program in my professional career. But I started in the help desk, just, fielding calls and helping people problem solve, and moved there from there to networking, helping make sure internet was up for, actually, with school systems. And my boss went to a talk actually at a Technology First event, and this gentleman named Daryl Highland, who's just amazing, one of the premier Dayton security experts, gave a talk on hacking printers and the dangers to companies of printers, and blew my boss's mind. And my boss came back from this talk and was like, Dan, we need a security person. And I was like, I would love to do that. Like, I've done that from like a for fun kind of thing for years. I didn't know I could make a career out of it. He's like, okay, you're our new security person. So I just jumped right in and knew from an attacker side what I would do. And so I started thinking as a defender. And then another person out of Columbus kind of pulled me aside one day at a security event and was like, hey, let's meet up and start talking about like what you want to do as a career. And he actually brought me into the pen testing company. So I was a consultant for a while, attacking companies. And that's where actually I used the least amount of technical skill. Social engineering was generally my way in. So I would just trick people into doing the things I wanted, either over the phone or sometimes it was in person, and just having a boldness, walking in. I had to break into this one company, and I just walked around like I was supposed to be there. I dressed like they do. So they had specific like company uniforms, and I wore something close enough that it looked like I was supposed to be there. And my flag was I had to get to their manager's desk and take a picture of me at his computer. And so I did. So I got to take a selfie at their desk, and then, walked out and delivered the report later. But I had never actually done anything technical there. I just kind of acted like I belonged. And again, I had legal letters from like their company saying, yeah, like, we're paying Dan to do this. I don't recommend this to students unless you're actually like have the get out of jail free card thing, because it's illegal, and don't do illegal things. But that was kind of my path in. Is I knew I wanted to be in technology, but never even dreamed that security would be a thing. But having people that have guided me along the way of, hey, I think you could learn this. My current boss, she pushes me in all kinds of things, like, oh, Dan, you can figure this out. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I don't know if I can. And 6.5 years on, it turns out I can. Maybe not comfortably all the time. Right. There's still some anxiety as she's like, hey, what about this thing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never even thought about that. She's on a whole nother level. But it pushes growth, getting out of the comfort zone. And so, yeah, I would say, I have people also that I've ran into that they have graphic design degrees, or there's a CISO that has a music degree. And they're phenomenal at their job, because as a conductor, they have to make all of the different pieces work together. And it allows them to be really good at, okay, hey, you over there, you're really good at this, but this person's better at this part. So you two work together, and all of the sudden we're making beautiful music instead of a bunch of dissonance. And so don't think you have to go down the technical path. Find the thing that just really you're passionate about. And it can be multiple things. You need to have other hobbies as well. So like I've taken up woodworking, because computers are you don't have anything to show for your work most of the time. I can work a whole day and there's nothing tangible to hold. And woodworking is destructive, right? So you're destroying pieces of wood to end up with something beautiful in theory, or big mistakes sometimes in my part. But it's something tangible, like I can hold it at the end of that hobby. So, finding something outside of it, don't just be consumed by your passion, have other things that balance yourself out. Otherwise you can get burned out pretty easily.
So Dan, I want to hear how Jeff got into this industry, but I'm going to push you for a second because there's
Okay.
an important thing that you said in your answer here. So Jeff, before you go, I'm going to push Dan and Jeff, if you want to speak on this, and JT, if you want to chime in too. One of the things that students might be susceptible to, they might fall victim of, is thinking they're going to go and do all this awesome stuff day one. And you said something called starting out at the help desk.
Yeah.
So if someone's totally new to something, can you A, define what that means? What is the help desk? And then B, why it's not bad to start there. And sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta put in some time, learn some basics, and then build on it. If you can touch on that, because I can imagine some students having these high goals of I'm gonna do all this cool stuff, and here I am at the help desk. So can you do that? And then Jeff, we're gonna get
Yeah.
back to you on how you got into it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, the help desk, generally, that is kind of the tier one. So the first person you call if you have a tech support problem at a company is your help desk. So I started out of college. I started on that, and I will say it has shaped who I am in my career, even though I'm glad I'm not on the help desk anymore. And the reason being, and I actually set up like shadowing so if I hire an intern straight into security, I have them go to the help desk and spend some time there. It teaches you empathy. Their jobs are brutally hard at times because, you'll have a variety of people using computers, and, some of us grew up using it and kind of hacking them to make them do even more. But there's a lot of people in the workforce that didn't have those opportunities or didn't grow up with them that, I've had the kind of the cliche call of, hey, my coffee holder's broken, and be like, oh my gosh, you don't have a coffee holder, that's a CD-ROM tray. And now people will be like, what's a CD-ROM tray? But it's, you get wild calls from people that don't know anything about technology. And so you, in order to be good at it, you need to have empathy. Oh man, I hear the frustration. Let's see what we can do to help you with that. That carries over through any career in IT, really any career, or any, like, if you're a human, you should learn empathy. It's important. Because it really does help in just day-to-day interactions. But on the help desk, it is generally something that will teach you so many different troubleshooting skills, because you'll have just weird calls. I worked one where they're like, our internet's kind of in and out, but only when it rains. And we're like, well, that's not how internet works. Like, it's not affected by weather patterns. But it turned out a squirrel had chewed part of the line as it came into the building. And so they had been calling for like 2 years about this. And I got the call, and I'm like, okay, that makes no sense, and that it's repeatable like this. Like, let's dig in. And yeah, turned out squirrel had liked to chew on wires. And so we found it was shorting every time it rained. And that troubleshooting comes from my days on the help desk, getting weird calls and trying to figure it out with them. And so it's not always fun. It's a hard job. They put in tons of work. And one of the other aspects of having somebody work on it is later you can get, if they're comfortable with it, you can give them a hug and be like, look, I've been there. I know it's okay. So yeah, don't expect necessarily day one you're gonna be like, oh, I hacked the planet. No, like, you might not start there. Most people don't. There's some people I'm sure that do, but I definitely did. And my career was a very kind of weaving path. The GPS route would look real weird, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Thank you for letting me jump in there, Caitlin, and ask that question, because
That's a great
I know
question.
sometimes folks think that they're just going to jump right in. So thank you, Dan. And Caitlin, I'll let you take it back over. And I think, Jeff, you owe us how you got into this.
Yeah, I can do that. I think one aspect I would say, and I heard it mentioned here, is networking with people. So when I say networking, I mean communicating, reaching out to people, reaching out to companies, have that conversation with your guidance counselor, or whatever that may be. Creating those relationships, that's part of how I got to where I am. When we say I kind of fell into some things, it was meeting people, it was having a conversation. I actually co-opted at 3 different companies doing completely different jobs at each one of those. And I met somebody at each one of those jobs that led me to the next one or led me to the next area. I think you'd really be good at this type of role if, go check this out. And it was that openness and willingness to try something different, to have that conversation with someone and learn about their job, and then maybe another area. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and just have conversations, because it's amazing how many people you'll meet over time being on the service desk or the help desk. You're talking to everybody from the guy out on the shop floor to the president of the company potentially. You're going to make these connections, and if you can be helpful and understand who you're talking to and how you're talking to them, that's going to take you a long way in your career.
Thanks, Jeff. We did have another audience question that I'd like to touch upon, because just being at past career fairs and events, this gets brought up a lot, because, Dan mentioned hobbies. And if you think about being, 13 through 18 and maybe even now, video games are often one of those hobbies. So the audience question is, sometimes people equate loving video games with going into IT. Are there or are there not connections between the two things? So who wants to go for that? JT looks like he wants to. There we go.
I will say that right now in my office, and I have some fear of missing out, FOMO right now, because we have a big cookout and there are people playing video games and eating a bunch of hamburgers. And I would say that most people in our organization love video games, but even the people who aren't technical still love video games. They love playing Madden or 2K or Fortnite. I think nowadays, like, who doesn't like video games? But some people take, from what I've seen and noticed, video games to I like playing video games not just on an Xbox or a PlayStation, but like on a computer. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I want my computer to go faster, or I want to be able to like play a game and have better graphics. So all of a sudden, like, well, how do I get that? And then I guarantee you, like Dan mentioned earlier, I bet Dan, when he was younger, built a computer for gaming purposes. And so there's completely a connection there. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that if you don't have a desire to build your own computer that you can't go into technology. But if you are over here going like, I want to like enhance my computer so I can video game, or I want to learn how to make my own video game, I think you already have a little bit of a niche or a passion in technology. And you should definitely keep that, pursuing that. And like Jeff said, ask a company to come in and shadow, because it sounds like you got an itch for technology.
Yeah. And I would say also the type of video games or how you play them would also possibly be an indicator. So, a lot of video games boil down to troubleshooting just in a fun way. You're trying to figure out how to win at the video game. Whether it's you're trying to speed run through and you're memorizing what pattern allows me to finish faster or better. You're playing Madden or a soccer game or something like that. It's okay, in this iteration of the game, what is kind of the best way to beat the AI, or what are the trick plays that'll, just win. And so it's troubleshooting in a way that you don't even realize troubleshooting. You're problem solving while being entertained. And so you can take that skill set that you're building with video games of, yeah, like I can recognize patterns, and then somebody sets you in front of a computer and says, okay, I have a pattern of logins and this one's from France, figure it out. And now you're all of a sudden doing the same kind of things, just there's no graphics to it. You're troubleshooting and figuring out patterns to solve problems. And so I would say even the act of playing the game, and JT's correct. I mean, I did build computer games or computers in order to play video games a lot, and sometimes still do. So it's not something you have to grow out of, no matter what anybody tells you. But yeah, even the act of playing the games was part of the mindset of I'm problem solving.
Do you have anything you want to add, Jeff?
No, actually, I think they did a very good job with that one.
Good. Yeah, actually, that reminded me one time we did a tour at Expedient Technology Solutions where JT works, and somebody there built a pinball machine. Is that right? Or is it a Pac-Man thing? What was that again?
They built so like an actual arcade. Get basically, it looks like you're going to go sit down and play, Tetris or some kind of game at an arcade, and they have this technology, and I won't get into the elements of it. I think it's called a Raspberry Pi, which I don't even know what it is, but that we can now play like 20 different games, and we have our own arcade that our some of our people in the company built it, and it's sitting in the break room next to the ping pong table, and so people over here trying to get the high score, and yeah, that was actually they built that, so pretty cool stuff.
Raspberry Pis are super cool, by the way. So for students, they're like 30 to 40 bucks, full blown computer that you can do all kinds of things. So yeah, they could be a lot of fun. So that's another easy way to get into if you want to learn Linux, especially. Raspberry Pi is a cheap way to get in sometimes.
So, a lot of our classes are probably going to be wrapping up if they just started at the beginning of class. So, I just want to thank everybody for attending. I know that folks are probably logging off or, putting stuff in their backpack and getting ready to walk out of the classroom. So, if you're any students interested in this, we always do events and things, so keep staying attention and asking your counselors and teachers for more information about how you can get involved. Folks mentioned Cyber Patriot programs and opportunities to do job shadows. Consider doing those things, even this summer. But Caitlin, I'm going to throw it back to you, see if you have any closeout questions, comments, and then I just want to give all of our panelists a final word before we end today's broadcast.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Great point. And just been working with Technology First for so many years now. I've actually learned that a lot of the high schools have computer science pathways within them, courses, etc. So yeah, definitely talk to your guidance counselors, your teachers, really anybody who works at the school can help you figure out what you need. That's what your teachers are there for, to support and help you. We really touched upon almost everything that I even wanted to cover. So Jeff, Dan, JT, thank you so much for everything today. I guess what we can do to close it off is, what is your final piece of advice for these students? Maybe your last word here. We'll start with you, Jeff.
Sure. I guess I would say, I'll put a plug in as well. I mean, a lot of times we're looking at colleges as the answer. College, not everybody has to go to college. Don't let anybody tell you that. I have many people within the IT industry who maybe have a 2-year degree or no degree at all, and they learned a lot of things on their own. Whether it be a hobby, as we described some of these, gamers and things like that. Once you get into an industry, really the sky's the limit. You can go as far as you want to go with it. So we talked about careers and jobs. I mean, think of as your future as a career. Do something that you're passionate about. You don't have to necessarily get that degree. Sometimes it helps you get in the door. Yes, it does. So don't let me persuade you the other way either. But just do something that you're passionate about and really go after it and put all your effort into that, and you'll be successful.
Thank you, Jeff. Dan?
Yeah, I would say first piece of advice is just do it. Don't back away. Don't put it off. Start making the connections. Don't forget about the people aspect. I think that's been a commonality between Jeff, JT, and I, is like we came up into this because other people helped us. So building your network of people is vital. And so don't put that aside. Find people that'll invest in you and go for it. Don't let somebody say, oh, you don't have the right skill set or you're not the right kind of person. You can do it. Find the right people that'll invest in you.
Thank you. JT?
Yeah, all I would say is just go for it like Dan, and don't have, and I think it's been mentioned earlier, but don't think you have to be a specialist. Like if you're fixated on being a cybersecurity specialist, and being at a level like Dan or like Jeff, they had to work really hard to get there. They had to put themselves in uncomfortable positions. They had to, get, like Dan said when his boss said, "Hey, I need you to check this thing out." Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be easy, but that's called perseverance. That's called work ethic. And if you work hard in anything and put your mind to anything, you're going to be great. So technology is not going away. Definitely consider it, and just keep an open mind to everything.
Very good. Well, thank you guys. A round of applause for you. On behalf of Technology First, I want to thank the Montgomery County Educational Service Center, Learn to Earn Dayton, Midmark, CareSource, and Expedient Technologies for sharing our 3 panelists with us today. Yeah, and Brian, if you have anything else, I want to wish everyone a happy weekend, and check out IT.
Absolutely. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you to all of our panelists. This concludes our panels for this week during In-Demand Jobs Week. We'll be doing more stuff next December. So December of this year, aka next school year, we'll be doing Computer Science Education Week. We'll be doing more panels and activities, but just think about all the other things you could do between now and December when we return to this conversation. So thank you to our panelists. There are 12,000 open computer science related jobs in Ohio. So we want you to stay in our state. We want you to fill those jobs. We want you to be very happy and make a lot of money while doing it. So thanks for watching our panel today. And this concludes our broadcast today. Thanks, everyone.